Shanna Gardner and Mario Saldana, they are facing those first-degree murder charges in the death of Jared Bridegan. It's in the surface kind of a open and shut case. You have a hitman that's there that says, "Yeah, these two hired me. This was her ex, and they wanted him gone." In the last couple of weeks, we've gotten to learn a little bit more from the perspective of Shanna Gardner and Mario Saldana. Keep in mind, it is from their perspective. It's notes on the police interviews that took place right after their initial arrests. And I found them really quite interesting, Shavaun Scott. It is pointing, or it's putting us into their mindset. Obviously, it is their bias, and they're going to express themselves in a way that's going to look beneficial to them. But I did find it interesting a bit, and I think there's probably some iota of truth to this. It was a very contentious relationship between Jared and the family. Not saying Jared is a horrible person or should have been murdered by any stretch of the imagination, but I think everybody who is playing the part here as an adult around these children may not have been playing very well as emotionally mature adults, including Jared. Not trying to speak ill of the dead. I'm just saying this kind of looks like probably what was happening. Um,
Mhm.
when we look at all of this, and we look at maybe obviously to these two parents, this is a headache and a half. This is something that is constantly being an issue, sometimes unpredictable. Exes can be that way depending on what you're dealing with. Never a reason to murder anybody, but it does make me wonder a little bit from the testimony that Shanna gave versus what Mario gave. They do seem to be a little bit different in terms of motivation or what they're feeling about life in general. In having the gumption to off someone. What's your thoughts on this? Are Mario and Shanna both in the same boat here in terms of guilt? In terms of Jared's death, or are we really looking at two very different things, and maybe they were in very different places in terms of responsibility for this crime?
Yeah, I think there are differences, clearly, and it's one of those divorces with, child custody. I mean, I'm shaking my head here because it's just the kind of case that you see terrible outcomes
Hmm.
happen, and yeah, did Jared have responsibility for the flavor of what was going on? Definitely,
Hmm.
definitely. And did that justify killing him? No,
No.
but it does give it a certain context,
Hmm.
which I think, when the story was first out, it was again one of those that seems so bizarre,
Hmm.
hiring a hitman just because you don't always agree on custody issues. But as they've explained more of the degree of the combat over literally everything involving the kids,
Hmm.
it I can't say it's completely understandable, incredibly poor judgment, but it at least gives us a context where we go, okay, I can see how her thinking was going
Sure.
here.
And what I'm looking at here with it, because it is so incredible, the poor judgment that was made here. If in fact Shanna and Mario are behind the murder, uh, so incredibly stupid to the fact that you go, how would you not be caught for this? The man's getting
Mhm.
murdered on the side of the road. Um, i- if they're going to figure it out at some point. Obviously, you hired a hitman that is connected to you in some way, shape, or form, who turns on you right away. I don't know. I mean, are they that dumb? Were they that dumb, or is there something else at play here? I am starting to wonder a little bit if maybe these two didn't hire the hitman. Maybe it was somebody else who hired this hitman because they didn't like the situation that was going on around these kids. And what comes to my mind is the Adelsons, Charlie Adelson and Donna Adelson, where Charlie seemed to take and run out mother's wishes on the former brother-in-law and son-in-law. I'm not accusing anybody here. I'm just speculating a bit of, could it be somebody in the family, somebody who cares about those kids, didn't like this back and forth, viewed Jared as the enemy, and thought, I'm gonna do this for them. I'm gonna take matters into my own hand. They're not gonna know about it, and didn't think that, oh, it's going to look very guilty on them, not on me. And completely missed that because it just seems far too stupid for almost anyone to try and pull this one off and think you're not going to get caught.
Yeah, I think anything is possible,
Hmm.
but I have to say that most of the criminals I have met are incredibly stupid people. You know, it just it just seems to go with choosing a life of crime and violence.
Sure.
It's like these are folks who don't think it through very well.
Hmm.
So my guess is that the hitman is probably telling the truth. It probably was them,
Hmm.
unless we get a context where clearly there was another family member overly involved
Yeah.
and, enmeshed as the Edelmans were enmeshed in that
Yeah.
situation.
And that's we don't see any of that or anything of that nature, but
Yeah,
it just makes you wonder a little bit just because it is so incredibly stupid the way the whole thing went down.
truly.
But I guess we'll figure more of that out in court. She certainly has the representation to explore things, far better than most with the funds that she has to hire who she's hired. So it will be an interesting one to watch. I just wonder if things that are appearing are exactly as they are, or if there's something else
Right,
going
right.
on after reading those documents. We will find out. Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you like the podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, and press that bell so you don't miss any of our updates on the cases we're following for you right here at the Hidden Killers podcast from True Crime Today. And thanks